This is Good Morning San Diego.
Proposition 15 on the ballot raises funding for schools by changing the tax assessment of commercial and industrial property.
Coming up, we'll speak with No on Prop 15 spokesman Matt Klink on why he opposes the proposition. We'll have that conversation with him. There he is. We'll talk to him coming up.
Welcome back. Proposition 15 on the November ballot increases funding for schools and local government services by changing the tax assessment of commercial and industrial property. At least that is how it's stated on the ballot. Joining us to discuss why you should vote no on Proposition 15 is the No on Prop 15 campaign spokesman, Matt Klink. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, Liz. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
You know what? We're running out the last few days of this election, trying to make sure as many people as we can get to realize that Prop 15, despite what you just read, it's the largest property tax increase in California history, tapping in at a massive $11.5 billion a year. So that's what's not been clear, in part because of a misleading ballot statement or ballot title and summary written by the Attorney General.
How about that argument, Matt, and you've heard this before, that, well, isn't it about time that these commercial properties, if you will, pay their fair share of taxes?
Well, first and foremost, they do. And, you know, what is the common misperception here is that, you know, the yes on 15 side says, oh, we're just going to tax the rich or the massive property owner. But what they don't tell you is that, so let's take the shopping mall in San Diego. The shopping mall has the owner of that mall has tenants, and those tenants have leases that say the tenants are responsible for tax increases. So what that shopping mall owner does is he passes that tax increase on to the tenant. And then what the tenant does is that they then increase prices on shoes or milk or eggs or wine. So we all ultimately end up paying. And that's the biggest scam that the yes side is trying to propagate, that, oh, only the rich will pay. You can't squeeze $11.5 billion a year out of just the rich. We're all going to pay for it, and small businesses will be crushed in the process.
Yeah, and that really seems to be the heart of the campaign against Proposition 15. As we've talked to you before, and to others who are against Prop 15, is that at the end of the day here, this could put a lot of businesses out of business. I mean, you have the pandemic going on, but then you have this, and if that cost trickles down to the business that is renting or leasing from this commercial property, well, they may not be able to afford to stay open. Is that fair to say?
That's you nailed it. It would be absolutely devastating. I mean, look, even before the pandemic, this was a really bad idea. We know from extensive economic research that the majority of businesses, including local and women-owned and ethnic small businesses, they're barely eking out a profit. And this is before COVID. Now, most of them haven't reopened, or if they have, with skeleton staffs. The prospect of them being hammered with an $11.5 billion tax increase would literally make continued operation for many impossible. So if we want to see main streets throughout California, proverbial ghost towns, then Prop 15 is your solution.
All right, Matt, but I've got to ask you, look, I think a lot of people, by and large, agree that our schools need some help. Some of our communities need help. This is a proposition that states that it'll reclaim billions every year to invest in our schools and local communities. We've talked to people who are on the other side of this issue that are in support of Proposition 15. What about the money going into schools and local communities? Why is that not good?
Well, that's the second biggest scam in Prop 15. So, you know, of this $11.5 billion a year tax increase, only about 30% of the money raised goes toward public education. And with that money raised, there's no guarantee that that money goes into the classroom. It's just like the lottery. So, I mean, that's the biggest scam. If the writers of Prop 15 wanted to write something where we funded public education, which, by the way, already gets 40% of the state's budget by law. They could have done that, but they chose not to do that. The reality is that this is a massive money grab by teachers unions and public sector unions who just want more money, irrespective of the economic damage that this measure would leave in its midst.
Matt Klink, spokesperson for the No on Proposition 15 campaign. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time this Saturday morning.
Anytime, Liz.
All right. And just remember, folks, that Proposition 15, as all the other propositions, are a statewide measure. So everyone in the state of California who gets a ballot will be voting either yes or no.